Good evening. It's the 260 Chat News with me, Lemuel Rangarechekai. The headlines. Former US ambassador tips Zanu-PF to win 2018 polls. Zanu-PF says a lot has been achieved in 100 days. Chiefs urged to stay away from politics. In business news, Bakresa Group invests $2 million in Blue Ribbon milling plant. Belarus sets sight on $1 billion investment in Zimbabwe. The news in detail. Former United States Ambassador to Zimbabwe Charles Ray believes Zanu-PF has the potential to defeat a divided opposition party lineup in the 2018 elections. Ray was presenting before U.S. Foreign Affairs Committee on the post-Robert Mugabe era in Washington, D.C., where he cited divisions within the opposition as the biggest setback that could hinder their chances against what he termed a united Zanu-PF. In our next story, Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage Minister Zanu-PF says the new dispensation led by President Emmerson Mnangagwa has achieved a lot more in its first 100 days than what has been achieved in the last 10 years. The Mnangagwa administration has been under fire from opposition members and activists who say there has not been any change since former Vice President, with the help of the army, took power from President Robert Mugabe on November 15 last year. However, Mpofu told journalists during a familiarization tour of the National Museum and Monuments in Harare that the new government has achieved a lot more than what the country has achieved in a decade since Mnangagwa took office on 24 November. Moving on, Movement for Democratic Change has dismissed remarks by chiefs from Mashonaland East Province that they will not allow someone who was a toddler during the liberation struggle to be president of Zimbabwe, saying they back off political fights and respect the constitution. In an interview with 260 Chat, MDCT presidential spokesperson Luke Tamborinyoka urged chiefs not to involve themselves in national politics or campaign for anyone, saying it is against the dictates of the constitution. Tamborinyoka added that Zimbabweans have a problem of not following the requirements of the constitution, giving an example of military personnel who reportedly constitute 15% of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission Board. 260 Chat News will take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching the 260 Chat News. In business, a Tanzanian company, Bakresa Group, has partnered Blue Ribbon Foods to invest $2 million in a state-of-the-art milling plant that is expected to improve Zimbabwe's wheat and maize value chains. Speaking after tour of Blue Ribbon Foods plant in Harare, Minister of Industry, Commerce and Enterprise Development, Dr. Mike Bima, urged the food processing giant to enter into contract farming in order to guarantee the source of their raw materials. He applauded the Bakresa Group for bringing competition into the milling industry, as well as creating the much-needed employment in the country. Moving on. Premier Services Medical Aid Society, PSMAS, has completed the construction of Client Service Center aimed at improving convenience and service delivery to its clientele across the country. Addressing journalists during a media tour of the company premises, Managing Director Tendai Kapuma says the establishment of a Client Service Center was meant to offer all services at one place with less or no difficulties. Wellness services offered include free education on lifestyle modification, nutrition, physical exercise, stress management, and more. There is also body analysis services that incorporate free advice on body fat, basal metabolic rate, daily caloric intake, body water, metabolic age, muscle mass, and bone mass. In our next business story, Zimbabwe and Belarus have announced a partnership agreement to implement projects in the areas of energy, agriculture, and education. Chief Presidential Affairs of Belarus, General Viktor Sheyman, has said. Addressing the media in the capital after signing a $43 million contract to supply agricultural equipment, General Colonel Sheyman says his goal is to build a $1 billion trade between the two countries in future. This is it from the 260 Chat News. For more information, like our Facebook page, 260 Chat, and follow us on Twitter at 260 Chat. And for more news, visit our website, www.260chat.com. Good night.